third Monday of the month. When we posted online, democracy is on the line, we weren't trying to be rhetorical. We believe this year's election is of huge consequence. Many Whatcom County folks feel that Washington state activism doesn't really matter so much as our state and our Whatcom-Skagit region generally supports important issues. We, however, believe that there are huge consequential issues in our state and locally, including the fact that we are close to being able to elect majority-proof legislative bodies that could codify important protections, such as reproductive health rights to the state constitution. Tonight's meeting is different than what we usually do. Our monthly all-hands meetings are usually developed and presented by Indivisible Bellingham, but tonight's agenda is a collaborative effort being presented by several organizations that are all working on get-out-the-vote strategies. The only thing that Indivisible did for tonight was send out invites to some preliminary planning meetings. That was all we did. What you'll hear tonight is a menu of possible GOTV, which is Get Out the Vote, efforts that the groups want to make available to you. The presenting groups understand that not all GOTV efforts work for all people. Now, some people love postcarding, some people love doorbelling, others like to canvass in other parts of the state, and others don't like any of the above, but still want to support Get Out the Vote efforts. Our goal is to present you with a menu of approaches, and we hope that one or more of those appeal to everyone here and those who will watch via Cyber Miracles. Please fill out the action form, sign-up sheet during or after the meeting so that we know how to contact you about your interests. And it looks like we still have a few chairs. There are, Karen, a few in the back, not many, and there's seats back there on that side, and actually a couple up here. We at Bellingham Indivisible acknowledge that this beautiful place in which we live, Whatcom County, is the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Lummi and Nooksack peoples, the original inhabitants of this land who are still here and who continue to honor and bring to light their ancient heritage. We humbly offer this land acknowledgement with gratefulness for their enduring care of our shared lands and waters. May we honor and nurture our relationship with our Coast Salish neighbors as we shoulder our shared responsibilities to their homelands where we all reside today. And before going farther, and we've done this before, a special thanks to our long-running volunteer PA system guru, Albert Snow, who makes the sound work for us and for so many events around Bellingham and Whatcom County. He just does this forever. And for those of you who are joining us this evening who might not be familiar with us, this is our mission statement. Indivisible Bellingham is united by the principles of fairness, inclusion, tolerance, and a just society for all through nonviolent civic engagement, political involvement, and consistent pressure on elected officials. We've organized and supported numerous actions since our inception after the 2016 elections. As a group, we agree with Joan Baez when she said, "Action is the antidote to despair." And I'm supposed to stay on script, but I'm going to go off script for just a second. I'd ask you to think about yourselves and your friends, and this is a time where so many people are feeling despair and discouragement, and I think she really had it right. If we do stuff, we're better off than if we don't do stuff. The work we do requires some funding, and we welcome any help to defray the costs of our activism. We're an all-volunteer, nonprofit organization. We get behind your goodwill and generosity of our members. We have rent for this meeting space, costs for the website, our email blast, an occasional ad in the paper, printing costs, stamps and postcards, and sadly enough, we occasionally even have to pay for security for public events. I wish that wasn't the case, but we do. We have a couple of these things that are around. They'll take whatever. And you can also go to PayPal or Venmo and search their websites for Indivisible Bellingham. And one small cautionary note that I also wish I didn't have to mention. We will maintain decorum tonight, and if there's any hostile kind of audience stuff, I will just ask those people, if any, to leave. I mean, I can't believe we have to say that, but we do. And our agenda ends at about 8:30, but we have different amounts of time allotted to different speakers, and I will try and stick to the schedule. So our first speaker, and again, thank you so much for being here. This is unbelievable. Our first speakers are Karen Hoffman and Claire Lending. They're going to do postcards.
Thank you. Hello. I'm also the treasurer for Indivisible Bellingham. I'm going to pass this around, kind of like a church. See if anybody wants to help us out. So my name is Karen Hoffman, and along with my friend Robin Thomas, we started the Indivisible Bellingham postcard group in the beginning of 2020. So since then, we have put out almost 40,000 cards in that time. So we started out all meeting together and really kind of, at a coffee shop, blah, 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 and then that just, with the lockdown, that just stopped, and we came up with a different strategy for doing postcards. So who in here does postcards for Indivisible Bellingham? Thank you! Oh, wow. That's so cool. I am the house that you come to drop off your cards and pick up your cards. You never see me, but you might see my cat. We have about 250 people on our postcard list. This year, about 52 people have started writing so far. We're going to need more. We have a very large goal that I will talk about in a sec. What we do is we send cards to likely Democratic voters in crucial areas of the country. Most of the time it is out of Washington state. As you all know, the federal election is going to be determined by just a small number of counties, small number of voters in a small number of states. And we're trying to work with our national partners to find those sweet spots and encourage people to vote. We work with a few national groups, and that is the Postcards to Swing States. We work with National Indivisible, we work with Reclaim Our Vote, and we've worked with other organizations over the years. What they give us are vetted voter lists. They give us researched scripts to write. This is not freelance writing. This is scripts to write. And they give us the options of different races. And then we just select the race that sounds good to us to work in. So there's been some research, and it's postcards sent to strong candidates. It can lift voting participation by 1% to 2%. So that's huge. It doesn't sound a lot until you think about it, and you think, if we can just get people who are likely voters to get to the polls. So that's what we're working on now. These are not persuasion efforts. We work with these other groups. They are the ones on the ground. They're doing the persuading. And then we come in, we mail our cards in mid-October, and then to get people to the polls. Our goal this year is to send 20,000 cards. So I currently have over 2,000 stamped postcards in my guest room in a box, ready to go to the post office in October. So we've got some work to do, but we've already done quite a bit, and I think that's great. So what we do is we package cards in a package like this. It has 25 to 30 cards. It has your address list, and it has your script. That's what you do. You pick them up, you sign them out on my porch. I live in the Columbia neighborhood. You take as many as you think you can do in a month. If you want to do it with your friends and be responsible for getting them back to me, that's great. And we, like I said, we give you about a month to get them back. Then we ask that you don't mail them at all, but we do ask that you put stamps on them. Stamps can be quite expensive. If you can't afford the stamps, that's okay. Bring them in unstamped, and we do fundraising for to put stamps on them. So it's not a deterrent for writing for us. And then we are going to have 4 in-person events. The first one is next week at Goods on Northwest from 4 to 6 p.m. You can pick up cards, drop off cards, have a beverage with us, chat with us, talk about postcards, and then we're going to try to do that monthly till the election. So what we need you to do if you want to do postcarding is to sign up tonight on your sheet. So, and then you'll hear from us in the next couple of days about how it all works, get the address and everything. So just to say, billionaires are throwing money at these races, and we need to be on the ground and getting people to vote. So that's what we do. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm Claire Lending. I'm a member of the Bellingham Unitarian Fellowship, where you are. And we work with the Center for Common Ground. We are very careful. The Center for Common Ground is organized by people of color. The postcards are designed by people of color. The scripts are given to us by people of color. And we are the allies who are sending handwritten notes, because they say that makes the difference. We are sending handwritten notes to specific states in which voting rights have eroded. There's already one campaign that and I just found out because Michael wanted me to come, and I found out July 1st in North Carolina they are doing a 2-stage, and so they're trying to get out a pledge to vote. And so you write a postcard, but there's a little sticker that gives information about how do you vote or what you do. And this one has a pledge to vote. And so this will be actually a 2-stage North Carolina campaign. So there's not much time for this one because we're supposed to send them out July 1st, but they've also started giving us addresses for Florida and saying hold them till October 1st. So if you're interested, we tend to write in person, which I think is really helpful to have the community, and we do it here, and I think we'll do it in the next room after our buff services. We may do extra if we have a lot of people who are interested. So I also have a sign-up sheet if you want to do this, and I can give you more information. I can show you the postcards and what the scripts are, and just like in the other case, we have exact scripts that you're supposed to write, but we like to do them with colorful pens. And yes, thank you.
So our next menu item is Hannah Oliver, and you're going to talk about Indivisible's Rural Caucus.
Hi everyone, my name is Hannah Oliver. I'm Indivisible's senior organizer in the Pacific Northwest, and I actually live down in Skagit County. But I'm going to come up here twice. The first time I'm going to talk about the Rural Caucus. We can go to the next slide. We can go to the next one. So we have a million different programs with Indivisible National. There's a million different things you can get involved in, a million different ways you can get involved to make a difference. So the Rural Caucus, they meet once a month, and they really believe that rural America is winnable. So folks from all over the US come together, there's guest speakers, there's amazing presenters, there's times where you can share information with each other and talk about what it's like organizing in a rural area. And then we also share tips and things like that as well. It's kind of small, but maybe you can see on the bottom here. So when you join the Rural Caucus, there's a lot of different things that you get. So you can join our monthly calls. We have an annual Rural Summit, which actually just happened last month. Messaging guidance and tailored support, and a community of progressive rural activists who want to help you succeed. We can go to the next slide. So the Rural Caucus, we have 4 different quarters where we do different things. So right now, we're just at the end of quarter 2. So right now, we just completed the Rural Summit. We're doing a lot of Pride things coming up now that we're in June. And then we're also really focusing on courts and judicial engagement. Pretty soon, we're going to be in quarter 3. We're going to be doing a book club. We're going to be doing lots of electoral work. And then talking about different tools and things for specifically rural areas. We have not selected a book yet, so if you have any recommendations, please let me know. But that's what you'll look forward to in the next quarter if you join. And we can go to the next one. So we also have a couple other cool things about the Rural Caucus. One of them is we have a website called flyoverfoods.org. And it's just like a collection of recipes from folks in the Rural Caucus from all over the US. And you go on there, that's all that is on the website. It's only recipes. It's a really cool place to look. You can look at desserts, breakfast, lunch, whatever it is. You'll find it there. We also have a Rural Caucus playlist on YouTube. So if you're interested to hear what rural folks from all over the US are listening to, you can check it out. It's just called, what is it called? Indivisible Rural Caucus Tunes. And you can find that on YouTube. There we go, the next slide. So one way to join is you can scan this right now. Another way to join is on your little cards. You can check Rural Caucus and we'll make sure you get connected. But again, they meet once a month. We send out newsletters. You get tons of information. It's a great way to meet folks, to hear what other people in rural areas around the US are doing. And I highly recommend getting involved.
Is it physical meet or Zoom meet?
So it's over Zoom. That's a good question. Almost everything that Indivisible National does is over Zoom because then everybody can join.
Yes.
And I believe the meetings are at 5 p.m.
Here,
our time.
yes.
Yeah. So it's something that's kind of early for folks over here, especially if you're working. But it's 8 p.m. on the East Coast, so we try to kind of make it work for everybody a little bit. Okay. I think that's my last slide.
So the next part of the menu will have Christy Stein, who I don't.
I'm right here.
Yeah, come on up, Christy, and Kevin Leja. We've been working on the correct pronunciation for about 5 years. And they will both cover for about the next 8 to 10 minutes deep canvassing. So Christy, start.
Oh, okay. Great. Well, this I have a really short time to cover deep values canvassing, and so this is going to be the speed dating version of that. And I have, oh, sorry. I guess I was standing aside for, yeah, good. Okay. So Indivisible Skagit had the opportunity, speaking of the Rural Caucus, to participate in a rural deep values canvassing pilot project that, in 2021 that was sponsored by the Rural Caucus. So we got training, we got an organizer assigned as a mentor, and we got tech support from National in order to carry this out. We, I have shared the full report of our experience with Kevin, and he's gonna put that up on the resource page so that you can access that. But basically, for that project, we doorbelled people in the rural areas of Skagit, regardless of party affiliation and regardless of voting history. So it could have been people that are registered to vote that have never voted. And we were in the most rural areas of Skagit. And we found that we could have positive conversations with people who had giant Trump flags flying in their front yard, and people who had signs on their carport that said, we don't call 911 here, with a picture of a pistol, and also people who don't consider themselves political.
Tell us please what deep canvassing is.
Yeah, I'm getting there. Yeah, I will do it. It's an important strategy for canvassing door to door, and I'll give you some specific details about what's involved in it in just a minute. I am just sharing though how we came to get experience doing this, and it was through that pilot project, so it was really valuable for us. We now incorporate this strategy for deep canvassing into all our canvassing, and we just completed for Flip the 10th, for the 10th legislative district, an issue identification process for deep canvassing. So first off, let's talk about why you would want to step up to do door-to-door canvassing to begin with, using deep values canvassing strategies in 2024. So the first one is that all the data shows that the most effective way to reach voters is in door-to-door canvassing, and that having those conversations at the doors is the most effective way to get people to vote for your candidate and to turn out to vote. So that's number one. And in addition to that, there are other advantages. You get to feed your curiosity. So for instance, you will meet people that you would never meet otherwise, right? And you will hear stories that you would never hear any other way. And I will just share you one very quirky story that I heard from an elderly gentleman where I doorbelled, and he told me that he was in, this was a couple years ago, he told me that he was in real estate in Fargo, North Dakota, in the 70s, when some hot shot from New York City breezed into town. A real estate dude, we know this guy, and attempted to take over the real estate market in Fargo. And yes, he did try to hit on somebody's wife. And yes, the locals ran him right out of town. Now, is that a true story? I have no idea, but that gentleman wanted to share it with me, and that's the kind of stuff that you get through deep values. So, along with other things. So, but there's another reason that I feel strongly about to do deep values canvassing, and that is it will restore your faith in humankind. And I'm not kidding you about that. Americans are not as mean as the yelling voices on the media would like for you to know. I've been canvassing door to door without the deep values necessarily part for pretty avidly for about 15 years. I have never had anybody slam a door in my face, which is usually everybody's first fear, right? I've only had a few people be rude. And yes, I have developed some strategies for keeping that streak going, and it mostly has to do with showing respect for the voter and keeping a certain sense of humor. But it will restore your faith in humankind. So I really encourage you that. So, what is deep values canvassing? It sounds complicated, but it really boils down to three main things. Listen more than you talk. So we follow the 70-30 rule. You should be listening 70% of the time and talking 30% of the time. Secondly, you try to connect with the voter on a shared value. And then you share an experience of your own that connects with their experience that they've shared with you. And then thirdly, this is really hard for progressives. You leave your facts at home. Unless a voter specifically asks for facts, facts are not part of the conversation. So that's challenging, I admit it, but you can learn how to do it, and it's fun. So I'm more than willing to expand on this at a later time, and I may have misinterpreted what Kevin thought we were going to do, but we can demonstrate this process in about 2 minutes right now. So my request for you would be to partner up with someone who's nearby to you and do 3 things. First, one of the partners identifies a concern that they have. This is not a role play, so don't make something up. Just share. Just share an actual concern that you have. And then your partner, we're going to ask you to make a statement back to the person that reflects some kind of shared value between you and what that person has just expressed. Now, if you get stuck, you can always fall back on fairness. You can always say something like, it sounds like fairness is important to you, and that's really important to me too. But usually, depending on what they've shared, it connects with something that you care about, right? And then thirdly, both of you think of one experience that you've had in your life that you could share in a conversation like that. Okay, are you ready to try it? Just try it, don't worry, don't panic. Okay, can somebody time 2 minutes? Okay. Okay, can I get everybody's attention again? I know you can talk for longer, but we're running a little bit behind, so I want to just keep moving. So I have 3 questions for you. How many folks were able to share something that you're concerned about? Okay. And how many of the partners were able to identify a shared value? Okay, good, that's good. And how many of all of you were able to think of one experience that you could have shared in a conversation? Nobody? Yeah. Okay, all right. So that's it. That's deep values canvassing in a nutshell. And the rest is just practice. So I'm happy to talk more with anybody after the meeting or do a longer thing at a later time. And I really appreciate your interest in learning about this.
Maybe not. I think to take a lead from them, yeah. I don't think you're off on that. I think you, I would not count that.
We've got to keep rolling. However, I'm glad you mentioned that. We neglected to mention at the beginning of the program that all of this information will be on the indivisiblebellingham.org website. Links, slides, everything you need to know. And as a matter of fact, we're going to link a PDF file that Christy sent us that details a lot of what she's talked about in much more detail. So,
A lot of stories.
A lot of stories, yeah. So it's a great opportunity to communicate. My name is Kevin Leja. I'm a member of the leadership team of Indivisible Bellingham. I'm glad everyone's here tonight. Thanks for coming. On this date, in 1885, 200 crates of copper and steel were on a ship that sailed into New York Harbor. And a year later, those fragments were assembled to become an enduring symbol of freedom and democracy throughout the world, the Statue of Liberty. Our society may be fragmented, but we believe we can repair it and maybe, for the first time ever, hold this country firm to the ideals embodied in that statue. By the way, speaking of the statue, I'd like to thank our resident artist, Susan Ford, for her contributions to all of our graphics that we used for this meeting and also online. Susan, thank you. Give her a hand, please. So how can we bring the country together? Well, how do you really solve most problems? Communication, right? These are polarized times. Conventional wisdom tells us that Americans have made up their mind and that there's no use trying to change them, and disagreement is our existence, is existential. But many think there's another way, and earlier this year, Indivisible National chose this book
Okay. Kevin's reminding me that these forms would be very useful. So fill them out during the meeting or right after the meeting so we know what you're interested in. And on that comment, our next speakers are Yo and Savella. Good?
Good.
And Haley Hartford from Planned Parenthood Advocates of Greater Washington and North Idaho. So right in the middle of it. Come on up.
Hey y'all, so good to see you. My name is Yoan Savella. I use she, her pronouns. I have 2 roles in Planned Parenthood. I'm here tonight to talk to you as an organizer with Planned Parenthood Advocates of Greater Washington and North Idaho. I also have a role at Mount Baker Planned Parenthood as the Director of Public Affairs. So this is Haley. We'll introduce Haley now too.
Hi, I'm Haley. I'm the coordinator for Generation Action at Western Washington University. We do a lot of meetings on campus talking about reproductive health and trying to get young students on the college campus to get registered to vote.
So we're here tonight to invite you to stand with Planned Parenthood, which maybe you've been doing for a long time and maybe not, but it's never too late. Kind of hinted at, we have a chance to further solidify abortion rights in Washington State. Believe it or not, there's more we can do. And it hinges on winning supermajorities in the House and Senate this election. When we do that, we'll be able to amend the Constitution and get abortion rights in the Constitution in Washington State. Yeah. So, the key is to get some key candidates elected in the legislatures this year. Here's how you can help us do that. You can sign up with Planned Parenthood Advocates to get notified later this fall of support opportunities for our endorsed candidates. This will probably look like canvassing or doorbelling. You can do that by scanning this QR code right there, or we'll have it over at our table. Or you could fill out one of these cards. Do you have one of these cards right now? Hold it up if you have one. One there. The key is, if you've got one of these, you gotta fill it out and turn it into me before you leave. Otherwise, I can't get you in our system. So we'll have the cards over there too. Another way you can, back one more, thank you. If you want to help Planned Parenthood nationally, you can go to bandsoff.org and get involved in a number of ways in their national campaign work. There's plenty to do nationally as well. If canvassing, doorbelling is not your favorite thing to do, another way you can help is just sharing your reproductive health story. So you can do that at this web address here. Sharing your story helps us convince decision makers to do the right thing. That's one thing you can do. Okay, next slide.
Yeah, and then Generation Action is a network of young activists across the country who organize events on our college campuses, just so that we can mobilize advocates for reproductive freedom, raise public awareness about reproductive health and rights, educate young people about sexual health, and also create lasting change in our communities. I believe it's important to raise a hand into the college community and make sure that we're engaging young voters and getting them registered to vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Hannah again. And Hannah, you'll be talking about the Truth Brigade? Okay. And we're doing good on time. Thank you, speakers.
All right, so I'm going to talk about one of our other programs that we have, which is called the Truth Brigade. Before I start, though, so I graduated with a bachelor's degree from Central Washington University in political science and women, gender, sexuality studies. And when I was there, I was the Planned Parenthood Generation Action Coordinator. So anyways, props to Haley, props to everything that everybody at Planned Parenthood does. Okay, now, Truth Brigade. So Truth Brigade is another one of our usually monthly programs that we have. And it's focused on kind of fighting misinformation, disinformation, all that type of stuff. So we can continue to the next one. So the next few slides, I'm just going to kind of show some things that you might learn if you were to join a Truth Brigade call. So this one, you're going to have to click it a few times. So the first one, disinformation, if you can just click it 2 more times. Then misinformation, and then once again, malinformation. So I'm not gonna explain all these different things tonight, but something that you would learn if you joined one of these calls is the difference between these two things and how you respond to them differently. And we can go to the next slide. And then you would learn about the disinformation playbook, so why people share disinformation or misinformation, and how that plays into politics. Next slide, please. And then if you join one of the Truth Brigade calls, this is what it will look like. So you can see all these lovely people. Again, it's a Zoom call, and the way that we combat toxic disinformation is us. We can go to the next slide. So one of the big things that you'll hear about if you join these calls is Indivisible's Truth Sandwich. So this is what you do if you come across misinformation in your day-to-day life or on social media. How do you respond? Sometimes you'll really want to fight back, but kind of how to do it in a good, positive way. So first is discover common ground. Then the second is disrupt the disinformation. And then the next is to dream. So dream of a better future. And I'll share an example on the next slide. You might have to click it a few times. So this is an example. So somebody might say something about how our kids' mental health crisis is caused by woke books, trans bathrooms, and accurate history. That's probably not how people would actually phrase it, but that's what we hear a lot of times. So how would you respond to that? So first you would discover. So you could say, you know, this person and myself, we both care about kids, right? They might think some information that isn't true, but in the end, hopefully, we all care about kids and kids' well-being. Next is disrupt. So you could say something about how the post-pandemic mental health crisis is real, and you can ask a question. So why are some leaders adding stress by banning books? Banning books isn't going to help anybody's mental health, right? So, and then the next one is dream. So moving on from the conversation you've already had, how can you move forward? What do we hope for the future? So you can say, let's protect our kids from real harms like social media, manipulation, and isolation. So this is just an example. You might have different things that you dream about, different things that you would say, but those are the 3 steps that you'll hear a lot about. So discover, disrupt, and then dream. Then you can go to the next slide. And we can actually skip this one. This one's another example, but I assume you all understand. We can go to the next slide. So we have 2 upcoming webinars with the Truth Brigade. So the first is on June 26th, which is a workshop and orientation. The next one is on July 10th, which is called Big Truths, DEI Lies Busted. And we can go to the next slide. So again, you can scan this code to get more information about Truth Brigade, or you can check the little box on your half sheet that you got when you came in. And when you sign up, you'll receive emails once a week, announcements about what's coming up, and reminders of all the calls that we have as well. And that is it. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. I keep listening to the commonalities between what people are saying, and that seems really important. Our next 2 speakers, Susan Ford and Andrew Shelton, are going to talk about working for candidates, but in other states. So that's another part of the menu. Andrew and Susan.
Hi, everybody. I'm obviously a part of Invisible Bellingham. And I've heard a lot of people talk about how can I make a difference in this election when I live in a blue state? Well, there are organizations who campaign in key states with volunteers from all over the country. One of those groups, who is based out of Seattle, is Common Power. They mobilize volunteers to get out the vote around the country. Common Power will be taking teams of volunteers to swing states to canvass for candidates and to get out the vote this fall. Each team travels with a team leader. These paid leaders are often chosen for their youth, diversity, and commitment to civic engagement. They coordinate logistics, communications, and support for volunteers, leading up to and throughout the trip. When working in the other states, Common Power partners with local organizations which know the political landscape, can support the volume of their volunteers, and are committed to progressive causes. They choose grassroots groups which have built trust with local voters. You can see here some of the partners that Common Power worked with in all the different states between 2018 and 22. We noticed in Washington, they actually did work with Indivisible.
Could you speak into the mic, please?
Oh, sorry. Next slide. If you are interested in joining a team and traveling with Common Power, They offer training in live Zoom sessions for all levels of volunteers. For those new to Common Power, their Training 101 provides information on action opportunities and when they are available, as well as how things work in the field. The second level of training provides tactics for voter engagement and a variety of conversations with voters. And the third level covers what you can expect from a trip, the steps involved in preparing to travel, and what it's like once you are on the ground. There is also a Training 104, which gives guidance on talking with Latinx voters. Next slide. Volunteers can join travel teams by signing up on the Common Power website with a state of your choice. Common Power will be traveling to 11 states this fall for the general election. Here are the tentative dates for those states, and I have a handout over here that lists these dates with these states. They're tentative at this point. They might change, but they'll be confirmed by August 1st. And they also have the website address for each of these states to sign up on their team. Once you sign up for a trip, you will receive logistical information for that trip, including a trip orientation session to meet team leaders, fellow travelers, and get specific details about your trip. Volunteers pay their own way on field trips. Since the volunteers are coming from all over the country, they generally figure out their own transportation. The lodging varies in each state, and team leads will recommend a hotel, which will usually have a discounted group rate for their volunteers. Next slide. Common Power also offers a lot of other options besides traveling and canvassing, such as remote work, some really phenomenal educational opportunities about voting rights, voting justice, and training for their future leaders. I recommend you explore their website. Thank you. And now I'll ask, next slide, Andrew to come up and talk about his trip to Arizona. Next slide.
Yeah, hi, I'm Andrew Shelton. I'm on the leadership crew. I'm a Democratic precinct officer and a former organizing fraction fellow. I'm also one of those sick people who loves doorbelling. Thank you. Yeah, I like talking to people, not microphones. Yeah, so my fellow partner in crime, Zenda, can you stand up, please? Zenda Boss Hall, yes. Jumped on, she and I are going to organize it together. She walked into my office when we were organizing for a war and showed me her picture with Obama, where he's actually into it, taking a picture with her. I was like, got it, this lady knows what's up. Zenda has far more organizing experience than I do. I just knocked on thousands of doors, but Zenda and I figured that we would travel to Scottsdale, Arizona, is a swing House, Senate, and presidential area. The Democrat lost the House race last cycle by 3,000 votes. Very vulnerable. So I've talked to the Democratic Party down there. They're ready for us. They have housing, like volunteers willing to house people. The ballots drop on October 9th. So Zenda and I tentatively were planning to go from like the 7th to the 21st. You can do whatever you want. Please contact us. We'll set you up if you want to go in September. That's totally fine. Or contact John directly. It's flex. The whole point is down there knocking doors in a high impact area. We will be responsible for travel and board, but room we can get set up for you. Right now it's just Zenda and I, so we'd love to see some more faces if you're into it, so thank you.
Well, if you know somebody who wants to.
That's right. Zenda, you should have done this.
No, but you might have kids, grandkids, whatever, who might want to join us.
Yep. So take a picture, send it to your grandkids, because they're on their cell phones anyways.
So Kevin's going to bring us back to Washington State, right, Kevin?
Yes.
Yes.
Anybody need the sign-up sheets?
And we have more here, lots more.
Are there
Karen?
two there?
Okay.
Here you go. Yep, thank you. Oh, I gotta put that down there. Okay, competitive races. That's kind of what Andrew and Susan were talking about. But you know what? You don't have to travel anywhere. I love armchair activists. I'm one. I make a lot of decisions about how to use my time in the best possible way. Taking an airplane, you know, it's fuel, it's my time. Great if you want to do that, and I encourage you to do that, especially if you have relatives down there or anywhere else in the country where there are competitive races, because the races that are very competitive are, we're going to show 3 slides from the Cook Political Report, which is CPR is pretty much the gold standard of political analysis. The House, this was the latest House report, CPR race ratings. They assess the competitiveness of all the races, 435 races in the House of Representatives. However, these are the ones that are the most competitive. And they're determined by several factors. They're determined by the weaknesses and strengths of the candidates, including the political makeup of the district, the political environment in the state and nationally, and these change all the time. But this gives you, Cook Political Report, this is you can pay for a lot of analysis, but these are all free that you're going to see. So what you're seeing here are solid, lean, and toss-ups, Republican toss-up and Democratic toss-up, lean Republican, likely Republican. So as you probably know, you need, in order to control the House of Representatives, you need 218 votes. Right now, the lead in the House is really, really small. And there are a lot of competitive races that, for example, went Republican last election, but went for Biden in 2020. So those probably will be likely toss-ups or likely lean Democrats in a lot of cases. Solid means the races aren't considered competitive at all. Likely means that the races are not considered competitive but have the potential to be. Lean means that the races are considered competitive but one party has the advantage. And the toss-up are races that are most competitive and either party has a good chance of winning. For the Senate, this is a bad year for Democrats. Lots of Senate, thank you. Lots of Senate seats, Democratic Senate seats are up for re-election. Many of them are solid, and that's a good thing, I guess, if you're a Democrat. There are a couple of open seats. As you can see, Arizona is open. It's leaning Democrat, but you know, these things change all the time based on all these factors that Cook Political uses. And then of course, Joe Manchin is leaving the Senate, so that's more than likely a Republican seat. So the real work we have to do is to get majorities in both houses of Congress, and it's going to be tougher than in other years because of the majority of Senate seats up for election are Democratic and all the toss-ups are Democrats. Remember, the Senate confirms federal judges, including Supreme Court judges. President Biden said yesterday that it's likely 2 Supreme Court positions will open in the next 4 years. And so it all comes down to, next, the Electoral College, and it all comes down to 270 votes in the Electoral College. And we all know the drill, I guess. These numbers that you can't see at the bottom basically say that there are 77 toss-ups. And that means electoral votes in all these states, which are the bold numbers behind them. Again, you can see all these on the Cook website. So, armchair activists, another tool that you can use to find information about what races are close and how you can help to put those into races that may go over the top, is with a fantastic website that's been produced by Indivisible Vashon. The Vashon people have put together this website that, this is their web address. You can go there and when you click here, you will go ahead, get to the page where it talks about all the options that you have. Next slide, please. All the options that you have for being an armchair activist. Text banking. There's social media toolkits. If you spend a lot of time on social media, there are toolkits that you can use on your page and encourage your friends to use on their page, which create messages about issues and about candidates as well. You get to decide. There are all kinds of options here, but the one thing I want to focus on right now and for the next couple of minutes is this down here. It's the Battleground States Matrix. Next slide, please. The matrix is a fantastic job, and it's changing all the time. But what Indivisible Vashon has done is they have created a spreadsheet that basically shows you the highest priority down to the lowest priority, and then for different options, like hold the White House, Biden win path priority. Pennsylvania is #1. It's the highest priority. #2 priority is Michigan, 3rd is Wisconsin, and 4 is tied between Nevada and Arizona. So you can see in a heartbeat, in a blink of an eye, what races are the most competitive. That helps you make decisions about what you want to do in those races. Anything that's competitive, anything that's in green is going to give you options for postcarding, letter writing, phone banking, voter registration, and I think there are even some donate pages that you can do. So if you're interested in being a great armchair activist, my encouragement would be to go to indivisiblevashon.org, take a look at this. You'll be kind of blown away by it because it's really deep. Underneath all of these are ways that you can find out about candidates, ways that you can find out how to donate, how to volunteer. And as we go through the summer and fall, there will be more information that will be linked to our Take Action Network. Who is a member of our Take Action Network here? So a few of these, that's good. We'll be doing some more trainings this summer on the Take Action Network, which is a way to push notifications to you about things that you care about, that you select. So it's a great opportunity for us to do more work from our armchairs. Thank you.
Before going on to the next one, I neglected to mention and acknowledge Alex Rammel is in the back. Thank you. I was sort of stunned to see you here. And I said something to Alex like, you didn't have anything else to do but another meeting. Thanks for all the work you're doing. We have 2 more of the mid-length presentations, and we got a couple of really short ones. So next up, I don't know if I saw Suzanne Munson.
Thank you.
Oh, right there in front of me, of course. And Betsy Gross, I saw earlier from Whatcom and Daunted. So Betsy's coming up from Whatcom and Daunted. Suzanne from Riveters, and you're going to talk about the GREET initiatives. Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Nice to see you all here. Can you all hear me okay?
Drop it down, yeah.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I first want to thank Kevin and the whole Indivisible team for bringing everyone together. This has been really a fun collaboration, and it's very energizing, I think, to have us all come together and see the energy for doing things in our community, both locally and on the national level. So again, thank you, Kevin and team, and looking forward to an active summer and fall ahead. So I'm Suzanne Munson. I'm the current board president for Rivers Collective. I was a founding board member with Yoan and learned it all from her. So it's fun to see her here in a different capacity. Our emphasis has always been, from the very beginning, on local politics. So, and when we say local, we mean really hyper-local. So as we planned for this very important election season, we continue to think about that with our priorities. So for this coming season, we are going to be doing our endorsements, so look for that. So that's one way that we can impact and in the electoral system here is to vet and recommend and endorse candidates. We're also going to be doing some recommendations around the Whatcom County Charter Review. There's a tremendous amount of great candidates that are going to be acting on that committee to review the county charter, and there's some important things that they're going to be reviewing. So we're going to make some recommendations for candidates in those, so look for that. Another thing that the Riveters have, many things that have already been talked about, we have also as high priorities. So one is flipping the 10th. Again, that's a little bit out of our hyper-local, but we are super interested in seeing that constitutional supermajority happen at the state level. So if there's anything that we can do to engage the 4,000 plus Riveters, thank you, I know some of you are in the room, to get out and support those candidates where it really makes a difference at the state level, we're going to be doing that. Another priority for us was the GREED initiatives. That's not our name. I'm not sure, was it Indivisible that branded them that way? So anyway, it's very catchy and helpful. So excited to have them packaged under those 3 initiatives packaged under the word GREED. It's hopefully people got this. This is Indivisible put together this information on the initiatives. So I am no expert on these initiatives, but one of the things that Riveters is really focused on this season is education and awareness about them and why exactly we should be voting no on all of these things. So stay tuned for more information from Riveters about how you can get involved in what we're doing. We'll continue to be partnering with everybody here, Indivisible, and be doing some of our own things to support our endorsed candidates. Lots of canvassing opportunities, I'm sure, always funds. Candidates always need money, so we'll be promoting some of their campaigns so you can help get them over the finish line. And given that I'm not an expert, I want, Betsy has also been working on the GREED initiative, specifically on I-2117, so she wanted to say some things about that. Oh, before I step away, I just wanted to say, follow us. We're on Facebook and Instagram, Riveters Collective, but also if you want to sign up for our newsletter, you can go to riveterscollective.org, and there's a way you can sign up for our newsletter. We only send one a month, and that will help you stay in touch with what we're up to. Thank you. And I'll turn it
Thank you, Suzanne. I'm going to be very, very brief here, just to let you know that I'm here representing Whatcom Undaunted. We're the 3rd indivisible group here in Whatcom County. We started meeting, as the other 2 indivisible groups did, soon after Trump became president, and we've been meeting ever since, trying to cause good trouble. Anyway, we're doing a deep dive into Initiative I-2117. I'd like to quote something that Alex Rammel told us not too long ago, which is that the 3 initiatives, defeating them is even more important than the governor's race this fall. So, the more you talk this up with everywhere you go and with everyone you know, the better. What I have here, and I'm going to leave these on the back table for anyone who wants some, are some business cards that one of our members of Whatcom Undaunted created, Ellen Murphy, and it's the one on I-2117. As you know, it's the Climate Commitment Act that that they're trying to overturn, repeal, yeah. So, do you belong to a book club? Do you belong to a faith community? Are you part of a writer's circle? Do you belong to a quilting club? Think of are you part of a neighborhood association? Think of all the groups that you go to regularly where you could distribute some of these business cards. The Whatcom Undaunted, we have a strategy we're going to be implementing this summer to get as many of these in downtown businesses as possible. But we're trying to get them out to everyone, and you guys are the worker bees that can help us distribute this and pollinate the community with this information. As I said before, I'm going to leave these business cards on the back table. We've already ordered several thousand more. We would love to have your help in getting these distributed everywhere to everyone. Last, I twisted Kevin's arm and told him I wanted to bring up something that's tangential. And just to let you know, this is another initiative that Welcome to Undaunted has gotten involved in. We've decided that it makes no sense for County Council to be our public health board. None of the members of County Council are medical professionals, and they don't know much about public health. The advisory board, the Public Health Advisory Board, is full of wise and knowledgeable people who do good work to do all the research and compile reports and make recommendations. But County Council can ignore them or implement them or modify them or pay no attention to them. And that's not really a good way to run public health in our county, we've decided. We've been working with County Council and our local prosecutor, the County Prosecutor's Office. We met this last week with Erica Lautenbach and other medical professionals, and we have come up with a strategy for convincing County Council to change this situation, which can be done very easily. We're one of the few counties in Washington State that is arranged this way, where County Council is our public health board. It can be changed very easily. It's going to take public will, and it's going to take a change in the county code. That's it. You guys are the public will. We've written a little blurb about it. I'll have that on the back table as well. And I've sent Kevin a digital copy of this, so if you go to with a request that you post it on your website. Okay, very good. Thank you very much, everyone.
We'll do the last of the mid-length things. And I know a lot of content has been coming out, but we're getting there. The next topic is high school and college age outreach. And Cam?
I would encourage all of you to stand up, and if you have your cell phone, take it with you when you stand up. Let's stretch. We're going to think better. How many of you have used votelaw.gov? Know what it is? Okay. Oh, great. If you have your cell phone, if you would just, on the search bar down below, if you would put votewa.gov. Okay? If you aren't able to do that, I have a few QR codes that will take you right to that. So if you want, I don't know if you can zap it from here, but if you put vote, votewa.gov, that will take you right to the web page, votelaw.gov. You need to scan it. I can give some of those out. You can pass them around. It is a site that if you will use it, you can help anyone register to vote. They can register, they can change their addresses. Our young people who move to Western or to Whatcom County, lots of them have their ballots set to their home place. They don't get their ballots in time. So we need to help them learn how to change their address. They can do that right online. And I will leave my vote card. Take as many as you want. I have a box of 500 I just picked up from the auditor. So pick them up, use them. The other thing is, this will let you know how to track your ballot. How many of you have tracked your ballot? Okay. Tracking your ballot lets you know when it was received and a bunch of other stuff there I'm just not going to go over because you can look on it on that web page. Go ahead and sit back down. I just thought we'd sat long enough. I taught elementary physical education for 38 years. I don't want to sit as much.
No idea.
Okay. You can get a replacement ballot. You can see what to do to get a replacement ballot at votewa.gov. You can print your ballot from there if you didn't get it. So it's a wealth of information. Use it. Take one of these cards, do it with your cell phone. You can actually do it online. And a couple of things they're adding this year is in the August primary, Washington, this will be Washington's first election in which you can sign up to get text alerts. It will let you know when they received your ballot, when it was processed, and everything else. I'm not going to go all over that, and I will leave this information, I will get it through email to Kevin so he can put that information on the information he's sending out to you. Share this stuff with family, friends, and your neighbors, just like many others have said here. Don't keep it to yourself. Share it widely. If you know a young person, we need them to have their address updated so that they can receive a ballot in a timely manner. The other thing, and I just talked to the auditor to make sure about this, if you get a letter from the auditor about your signature, you didn't do anything wrong. It just means it doesn't match what they have on file. They may have 5 or 6 signatures for some people. All they want you to do is sign that letter and return it so they can add it to the list so your ballot can count. It's pretty simple, but the other thing there is that letter doesn't necessarily have to be in on election day. They don't cure the ballots till 10 business days after the election. So if you get that letter, or you know of someone who gets a letter, sign it, have them sign it, return it, because chances are it will get counted and it will be in the group that we want. Also, there's a tour of the election office. Where she got this? Oh, it's July 30th through August 2nd. Free, you can just sign up and go, and I will include this in the information for you as well. Okay, that's all I have to offer.
What's the state's registration deadline?
The state registration deadline? Well, there's a lot of ways you can do that because, and I tell you that, the 28th or the 29th is the last you can do by paper or online. But you can register to vote right up till election day at 8 o'clock at night.
Thank you.
All day. The election office is open from 8:30 on election day to 8 o'clock at night. If you haven't registered to vote, you can go right there and register. They'll print the ballot, you can vote there. And we no longer have a 30-day residency requirement in the state of Washington. So if somebody moves in, they can register to vote at any time.
Ballot, though.
Pardon me?
Don't mail the ballot after 5
Amen. Don't mail, no, get the ballot in a ballot box. Most of ours, we have a large percentage of ours that come by ballot box. But encourage everyone, ballot box, college students, well, yeah, ballot box, everybody. Anything else? I'll have the cards, I'll leave back there, and I'll stick around if there's any questions.
Thank you, Pam. Okay, 2 other menu items of me, short ones, fun ones. Kevin will have one, and we have a couple of wrap-up comments. One activity that we've been doing for a while is rock painting, which sounds a little bit bizarre or odd. So I'm going to give you some words from Peach Tarver, who is away, and Susan Ford. Our first rock painting event, and somebody, yeah, Susan's holding up some samples. Our first rock painting event will be on Tuesday, July 2nd from 1:30 to 3:30 at Peach's house. We'll email that information to those of you who are interested in it. Indivisible Bellingham began its rock painting crazy project in preparation for the 2020 election to encourage and remind people to vote. Our focus was to distribute the rocks in stores that were agreeable to it, parks and other public places, especially college campuses around town. The idea was suggested by one of our members, and it became, I think oddly, but I think it became very popular, and people have enjoyed doing this. We planned meetings where we shared ideas, we painted, we developed a general group spirit from those group rock painting parties. After the rocks dried, we took them out again to those locations and where members could pick them up and claim them as reminders. So the kinds of things that we include are your vote, your choice, vote for justice, truth in schools, freedom of expression, safe schools, if you love democracy, vote. And if you're interested, it's really a fun, no stress kind of thing. The world is stressful. Painting rocks is not stressful. Okay? The next not stressful thing, if you are interested, is a street corner sign waving thing that we've been doing Friday afternoons, tending to be from 4:30 to 5:30 as the campaign season rolls around. Now, the initial, and we alternate between Bellingham corners and county corners. Sharon Shoemake said to me once that she really felt that one of the things we did street corner sign waving for her at the end of the campaign. She felt it was really important for her campaign and probably made that 1 or 2% difference. They're silly events. Often people start singing to themselves a really stupid rock song in their minds. It goes over and over, and you just dance for 60 minutes on a street corner. We never do things that are unsafe. We never get into confrontational conversations with people. We stand well back. And the response has been really, really positive. There are a few cranky heads every once in a while, but really people are kind and smiling, and it's pretty cool. So we need at least 10 people as the election season goes on, and I will be the one reaching out to you if you're interested in that. They're really fun. Kevin, you're going to do the last thing on this before we do the couple of announcements. Okay.
Thank you, Michael. I want to let everybody know that the green initiatives that Suzanne was talking about, the half sheet, explains exactly why they're bad. And this is a very, very, Suzanne mentioned that this, I believe it was done by Olympia Indivisible, really great organization. They do a lot of work in the seat of government in Olympia, and they put this together, and it's so simple to understand. It really makes a lot of sense. So I encourage you to pick one up in the back before you leave, and feel free to copy it, share it, whatever you like. Pretty much everything we've talked about here tonight is a donation. Your commitment, your energy, your time, all of that's a donation. It's you giving back. And if you're like me, strategically donating money to campaigns because you know how candidates that you like, that you want to win, can get their messages to the public, that's often how they do it. And what we're doing as small donors is, you may think like a pebble on the beach compared to the tide of campaign money that comes in from corporations. Citizens United basically opened the floodgates, and we all do what we can. You've heard tonight about all the opportunities that you have to work, to make things work maybe just a little bit harder than you already do to make things better in our country this year. But some people don't have the time, and they don't have the energy, but they may have a little bit of money. And sometimes people don't have time or energy or money. And they don't feel that they can do anything. And I get that. And some people are in that position, and I understand that. I tend to look at my own situation, which is not the norm. And I feel very blessed about my position and my status in life and the things that I've been given and I feel very privileged, as a matter of fact. But even I mean, being with German heritage, I really like a budget. I really like to make sure that every penny, I know where every penny's going. And sometimes I get lazy. Like, I just went through all of my streaming services that I pay for. $5 a month here, $7 a month here, 10, 15 bucks,
yeah.
20, they all add up. You know, if you're not watching anything on a streaming service, you can cancel it. They'll usually let you cancel it. Your subscription will run out the next month usually, or maybe if you're close to the end of your subscription, it'll run out in a few days. But if there's nothing to watch on that channel, get rid of it. Maybe you can use that money for yourself, for your food, for your family, or maybe you can use it for a donation. And I'm not talking about Indivisible Bellingham, although I thank each and every one of you who dropped something in that bucket tonight. But I'm talking about candidates who need this money in order to fight the corporate money that's coming into so many of the campaigns. And I realize that there are a lot of people that I support that also take corporate money. Hopefully not too much of it, but in order to survive, you can't, bring a knife to a gunfight, as you will. So, our candidates need to be prepared, and they need to be able to fight back with their own campaign funds. Fewer than 1% of Americans, adults, donate to political campaigns. Fewer than 1%. But every major corporation donates. Lots of money. So if you have, oh, by the way, on those streaming services, if you ever, I didn't realize this, but I just knocked 2 of them off that I don't watch at all anymore. And guess what? I get an email from them offering me a year for half price or for $1. So it may be wise to take a look at some of those and cancel the ones you don't, oh, okay, I've watched everything on that one. I'm not interested in the Marvel Universe or whatever. So anyway, one less coffee, one less beer, maybe eating out one less time a month. It means a monthly donation in a close race can mean the difference, can make a difference for a candidate. And so I just wanted to throw that in there and let you know that we're hoping that you do everything you can. Do a little bit more in 24 and we'll win this thing. Thanks.
Okay, so we just have one closing thing. And Alex is going to talk he's promised 30 seconds on initiatives, not on any coming up Alex campaigns. We can't do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the chance to come speak. My name is Alex Ramel. I'm state representative for the 40th district. I voted for all 3 of the measures that the initiatives are trying to repeal and the one they're trying to qualify for the ballot right now. After this, if anybody has questions about those, I'm happy to answer them. What I want to just make, the point I want to make right now is that the 3 of them together, any one of them passing, puts a throttle on our ability to make progress. You all knocked doors, made calls, donated money, and contributed in so many other ways to send a Democratic majority to Olympia. We did the things that you all wanted us to do, and now one hedge fund millionaire has put $5 million in and can undermine all of that progress. And if it works this year, they will do it again. We have to stop it this year, right now. Thank you all so much for being here tonight, contributing to this effort. It's really empowering to see so many people working on this stuff. Thanks for being here.
So this is the Kevin and Michael goodbye. Thank you so much for sitting and sitting and sitting and sitting. And just go out and do all kinds of wonderful stuff. Take care of yourselves.